Democratic Party to put up a senile fool and corrupt, enriched his whole family as millionaires off the government pit. Joe Biden, he's a liar. Can't keep his position straight for more than a year. It would be pathetic, except that they want him to be commander-in-chief. Can't put a sentence together. Cynical as that, how much do Democrats hate America that they would do that?
I totally agree.
My book, Blitz, describes how the Democratic Party became a racist party, how they tried to overthrow President Trump from the get-go. Before he got in office, they had a meeting organized by George Soros and called it resistance. That's the resistance to a two-term president since Abraham Lincoln. That was the last time. We are in a civil war. And people better start standing up now and saying what they know. It's obvious. Where are Breonna Taylor?
Yeah.
She was innocent. Well, we don't even know that. They had a warrants to break into what they thought was a drug dealer's house. Obviously, they had intelligence that got them these warrants. And her boyfriend, who may or may not have been a drug dealer, fired on them and wounded a cop. And the cops, knowing that they're 8 times more likely to be killed, fired back. And this poor woman was killed. We don't even know the race of the officers. White people are around. We can blame it on them. They're always guilty. I'm totally upset by this. I've written a lot of books. This book, Blitz, I feel it's the most important book to get in front of as many people as possible. Because we're on the brink of losing our country, and this book is full of ammunition about the Democrats and what they've done and why Trump has been able to prevail despite all of that. You think that they're nasty lies against him. He's not a racist. Who said Trump was a racist before he ran against the Democrats? He's a public figure for 30 years. Never identified as a racist until he ran against the Democrats. Leaders of the Democratic Party, Pelosi and the Schumer, they're evil people. They lie cynically, they know they're lying, and they continue to do it. They accuse the president, the elected president of the United States, of treason in an attempt to overthrow him and to support, and Obama's behind all of this.
Mr. Horowitz, here's Corbin Seavers. He wants to ask you a question.
Yeah, Mr. Horowitz, again, thank you for being with us. And I just wanted to say quickly to our listeners, Mr. Horowitz is the best-selling author of the book Blitz, Trump Will Smash the Left and Win. It was released this past June 2nd. Is that right, Mr. Horowitz?
Yeah, we just published it. It's a bestseller already.
I just wanted to say a couple of quick questions to you. Number one, I've been seeing in the polls lately Joe Biden being ahead of President Trump. Do you give much credence to that?
If you believe in the polls, I got a bridge to sell you. First of all, the campaign has begun. They don't have a candidate. And it's stand up to them. Can you imagine Biden debating Trump?
No.
And then again, Americans aren't stupid. They know that they're not racist. Every icon, kids, white kids, black kids, whatever kids, they look up to is probably a black athlete like Michael Jordan or LeBron James. And they're billionaires.
Yes.
It's not like we're back 30, 50 years, time of segregation. We have a whole multi-millionaire class of black people with tremendous influence in the culture. Music influence, just turn on your TV. We live in an integrated society. If you're black in America, your community of blacks are the richest blacks, and the most privileged blacks, the freest blacks on the whole planet, including all the blacks in Africa and the black West Indies. Everybody knows that. It's not rocket science. What we have here is a terrorist movement that threatens and has destroyed the culture. The funny thing about it is they destroyed the careers of a lot of people who ginned up this hoax, liberal editors of Vanity Fair and so forth, were apologizing for nothing, not being sensitive enough.
Speaking of that, earlier when you were speaking with Dr. Simon, you talked about Black Lives Matter and Antifa. Where are these guys getting their funding?
There are hundreds of millions of dollars of pouring into their pockets.
Soros.
The beginning of it. But look, all these Hollywood people bailing out the looters. We don't have law in this country anymore. If we did, we'd be prosecuting these looters. They're also conducting an insurrection. They should all be in jail, and the people who funded it should be in jail.
Right.
The Morgan Bank is funding the Rockefellers, the Ford Foundation, giant corporations. Nike is a huge part of this. Nike, who made Corbin some kind of, can you imagine this $100 million football player who doesn't want to honor the flag? Where each had been his ancestors. If they were protesting the Confederacy, I can understand it. But they're protesting the government that played them. You could have Mitch McConnell, coward that he is, talking about slavery as America's original sin. When have you heard anybody say Africa's original sin is slavery? Slavery existed in Africa, black slavery, for 1,000 years before a white person ever set foot there. Mankind is screwed up, everybody knows that. But it doesn't respect any race. Black people being holy. This George Floyd was a lifetime criminal. He didn't deserve to die the way he died. But the guy's an armed robber. Put a gun to a pregnant black woman's womb. Threatened her so his gang could ransack her house. They didn't find anything because they were robbing poor people. And with all these Democrat mayors and all these Democrat blowhards, disarm the police. Who's going to suffer the most?
That's right.
Blacks who are the main victims of black criminals. And that, yes, black males are stopped. They're suspected just for being black, which is not right. But when you know that black males are 6% of the population and commit 50% of the violent crime, you can understand how cops make a mistake like that. And then they don't say whether they're stopped by white cops or black cops.
Mr. Horowitz, can I ask you one other question? What would you say is the goal of this?
They're communists. They want to destroy the capitalist system. They put their demands up. Open the prisons. There are all these privileged brats who are occupying the streets, who have all probably been to college on scholarships, don't understand that there are really bad people around who have to be put in prison. Who could be for defunding the cops except the Democrat Party? Nancy Pelosi lives behind walls and gates, private security organization, and the Secret Service. This is a witch, this woman. She tried to conduct this overthrow of Trump, lying through her teeth about him, not caring that the evidence all shows that there was nothing there. You know, she doesn't give a about this country. These are radicals. They have this delusion that they can save the world. You thought you could save the world, or the planet, as they like to call it, which they do. What crime would you not commit to do it or support if you didn't have the cojones to commit the crime yourself? What lie would you not tell? That's why every time they open their mouths, they're lying. They're saving the world. They think Nancy Pelosi did her Democrat Party to Jesus, said they were devoted to the gospel of Matthew.
Oh, brother. How many of these Antifa and communist-like people are coming out of the universities?
I've written 5 books about how the universities turned it into one-party fascist states to indoctrinate students in hating their own country. 5 books I've written. Unfortunately, conservatives have had their heads in the sands for many years. They're very polite. They're willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. Obama began waking them up. The thing about Trump is, as I explained in my book, Blitz, he's a second thought of the way I am. I began on the left. How did he? You know, he's a friend of the Clintons. He supported all these liberal causes. But he loves his country. And that was my sin, too. These other conservatives, they were never liberals. So maybe they feel guilty.
We only have a few minutes left, and I just wanted to do 2 things. One, plug your book again, Blitz. Trump will smash the left and win. I'm assuming you can buy that at a lot of different places, Amazon and other places like that. But I also want
where books are sold, you should be able to get it.
And I also want to promote your website, frontpagemag.com, front page.
And you'll notice the motto on my website, which was up there long before all this happened, is inside. I think it's inside every progressive. It could be inside every liberal. Is a totalitarian screaming to get out. They want to control your life. They want to shut you up when you disagree with them. They don't want to bother arguing with you. Dangerous because they think they're doing it for a righteous cause.
Right. And sir, we only have a couple of minutes left. We're here in Louisville, Kentucky. Please share with our listeners what you think, one or two things you think we should be doing.
People have to get up the nerve to speak out or support those who do speak out. Quite a few people who are speaking out. Right now, Tucker Carlson, for example, is in danger. Giant corporations like Disney, who are run by leftists. The corporate world is a leftist world, are pulling their ads from it. A lot of others who are out there as individuals or they have a website or whatever, they need support. Support people in any way you can. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, though. You should only kneel to God, not to other human beings. No free citizen does that. And the demand that you kneel was designed to humiliate you and manipulate you. So you have to have your own resistance to this, and then we can change the tide.
All right. Mr. Horowitz, I want to thank you so much. We have to conclude here. And again, for the sake of our listeners, this is David Horowitz, best-selling author. Blitz, Trump will smash the left and win. Get this book anywhere. We strongly encourage our listeners to buy this book. And of course, I also want to extend my great thanks to Dr. Simon for his long-time service to leading this community, to bringing great voices like David Horowitz to this community.
Thank you very much, Dr. Horowitz.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Talk a little bit about the interview now.
That was tremendous. These giant corporations, a lot of them are led by communists or leftists or whatever you want to call them. We need to know their names and avoid those companies.
I agree with you. We need to name names. We also need to sort of understand how this came about. You brought it out earlier in the interview. Where are a lot of these guys coming from? They're coming out of the universities. They're coming out of the universities. They're coming out of the college. They're coming out indoctrinated, looking for jobs. I'll go with UPS. Hey, I'll go with Humana, whatever. And then they go up the corporate ladder, so to speak. And then all of a sudden you start hearing all this weird stuff about, well, we need to have diversity this. So it's not like it's just coming out of the air. You can trace it. It goes back to the colleges and universities. These young people, bright people, got their whole life ahead of them, coming into the corporation with that kind of madness.
I think a lot of this dates back when they took prayer out of the public schools. We've raised 2 or 3 generations now that does not believe in God, does not believe in right and wrong, does not believe in the 10 Commandments. Everybody is, and they don't need a savior. They don't need to get right with God. When they get older, like you say, and they go into a college, well, then radical left-wing professors train them to go with Antifa.
Indoctrinate them. Let's go back to the prayer in school. Madden O'Hare. It's interesting. Her son eventually ended up rejecting that. And in his book, he brought up the very things you just brought up. Now, he was right there. This was his mother. He was right there witnessing that history. And he himself ended up rejecting that, saying many of the things you're saying right now. Now, when you look at, like, you had recently sent out a thing about the JCPS, the assaults, 30% of the teachers are reporting being assaulted,
by
doctors,
students.
By students, right? Students assaulting teachers. Yeah. When I was coming up, the big thing was running in the hallway. I'll never forget.
Or chewing gum.
Chewing gum. Or smoking in the bathroom. They even had a song about that. Some rock group even put out a song about that. But hitting a teacher? No.
I've got a patient that was beaten up in the public schools. She just had to quit. She couldn't take it anymore. Unbelievable.
But where is that coming from, as you say? Total rejection of authority.
And God, everything.
Yes. Well, when you reject God, I think you're rejecting authority. Because he's saying, well, if I'm your creator, then it's right for me to tell you how to live, how not to live. So if you're rejecting that, basically what you're saying is that, well, I don't need you telling me what to do. I'll make my own decisions. If I decide I want to smack my teacher upside her head, that's my decision, because if you ever really look at it, when you talk to those students and when their parents get involved, invariably, they will try to say to the teacher, well, what did you do wrong? What did you say wrong? Well, we need to give you racial sensitivity training.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think it's possible to put prayer back in the public schools?
No. But here's what I do think is possible, and here's what I do think we must do. We have to be more supportive of religious schools, Catholic schools, etc.
Yeah.
Christian. We have to be more supportive of homeschooling collectives, and we have to be more supportive of homeschooling, period.
Well, what about school choice?
Yes.
If you want to send your child to a Christian school, responsible school, you ought to be able to do that.
If we have the choice of killing a baby in the womb, why can't I have the choice on how I want to educate a child?
Yes.
I totally agree with you about the whole thing about school choice. If you're in a situation, if you're a parent, you're listening to this, what I would strongly urge you to do is that you've got to be involved.
You got to vote.
Yes.
And you got to support God-fearing candidates. We got to take our country back. We got to speak out.
Yes.
That's what this program is about, is speaking out on these issues.
Right now we have in Metro Council, I'm not sure what district he's running in, but he's an open socialist.
Really?
Yes, he's an open socialist and a young black man. I haven't heard any really major cries against it, but that clearly shows to these parents, you got to get involved. You got to show up at your schools, volunteer. You got to question things. Wait a minute. I remember once when my daughter's big sister was in school, they wanted to have some sort of sleepover at the school. Well, that was fine. That was great. She was pretty excited about it. Then I found out that they were going to do a couple of workshops on sex education. I'm saying, what are you going to educate this child about sex about? She ain't but 10, 11 years old at the time. She still thought boys were icky. I confronted them about it. She had some resistance about it. And then I still allowed her to go, but I told them she is not to be in that workshop. And I still had to be there to make sure she was not in that workshop. Parents, you got to get involved and stay involved.
Well, if we take the idea of killing children and abortion, you're either for killing the most innocent people in the world or you're not. Now, there's one party that's 100% for killing babies. In their platform, all their people are for that. And if you vote with that group, you're voting for killing babies.
They're even supporting partial birth abortion, degrees of infanticide, because there was a Democratic candidate who very openly talked about it. The child was born, we'd sit them down on this table, I would speak so lovingly to the parent, and I would stroke them, and dude, you're still killing the child. The child is still dying. And they openly said that.
We got to wake up and say, you're voting with the wrong party. You're voting for child killing. That's all there is to it. And you got to realize that sometimes it takes a couple of years for them to realize, hey, I'm voting for child killing if I vote this way.
Maybe if there's enough prayer, something, that there would be a split within the Democratic Party. And that split would say, look, if you guys want to be part of that party, you go do that. You just can't do that. Maybe there would be some type of split. We can only hope and pray.
Right. Well, David Horowitz was very good, and this guy knows what he's talking about. He's been there. So he says that this Antifa, these people that are Democrats running the cities, promoting communism and the violent overthrow of our country. He knows it, and I'm glad you got him on the program because there are a lot of people that don't realize it. The other thing is about this pandemic. Tucker Carlson was on television the other day with his program. He says this shutdown was totally unnecessary. He says the states and the countries that did not shut down had statistically no more deaths from coronavirus than the ones that did. So it wasn't necessary. It didn't work. And of course, these doctors are coming out by the hundreds and saying this too. But of course, the media doesn't want to publish any of that. Like I say, it's time to wake up, pick the programs we're watching and listening to.
I completely agree with that. When the experience of Black folk in America has been that when we were not given voice in the majority media, we established our own, starting with the Freedom Journal. New York Times, CNN, Courier Journal, they're on the left. And I'm not saying shut those guys down. I'm just saying we need to acknowledge the fact they're on the left. They have an agenda.
Absolutely.
Push that agenda. We need an alternative media put forth by the conservative movement to give people a balance and sometimes to give people the truth, to expose things that the other side is simply not going to expose. They're not going to do it.
Well, that's why you and I are on this program today. We've just got to continue to speak out on the issues. I'm thinking of a Bible verse that says, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. In other words, the left wingers, but reprove them. And that's what we're trying to do today, I guess. Is that right?
Yes, sir. But we're not going to be able to keep doing it if we don't get financial material support. We need your financial material support. Speaking to the listeners now, we need your financial material support. We need those donations. The left is getting funded. We need funding too.
Well, I tell you, that was a great interview with David Horowitz, and he's a tremendous resource because he's been through all of this, raised in a communist home.
And he was a very ardent supporter of the Black Panther Party. He was very close to the Black Panther Party. So when he looks at Black Lives Matter, it's like he's going through deja vu. He knows a lot of the madness and silliness that was going on within the Black Panther Party. Just seeing
repeating itself. Well, it's time to wake up.
Yeah, wake him up.
Corbin Seavers, certainly appreciate you working with us on this. David Horowitz and all of this information coming out. So thanks a lot, and tune in again next week for the rest of the news. Hello, this is Frank Simon with the rest of the news, and we have some special program for you. And John, you're going to tell us what happened downtown when you were down there.
What happened actually is we had a normal protest, a normal peaceful assembly in the park. What was that? The Friendly Sea and
Freedom Rally or
Freedom
something.
Rally, whatever they called that. And I was doing my best myself to kind of add to that, but I needed to stall till I got the time to get down there. Well, unfortunately for me, that was also where you all had cleared out, and I got down there later, and I had two friends waiting for me. They had a spot picked out right on 5th and Jefferson. But all the Black Lives Matter people, there must have been like 2,000 of them at least. I don't know. They had all camped inside of that. And I had walked in.
Downtown Louisville?
Yeah.
Wow.
Inside that
in the Freedom Jefferson Park.
Don't forget about your flags, the 2 flags you carry.
Well, yeah, I walked into that, first of all, just to see if you guys were there, and you weren't. And I didn't look like the people that be there. I walked back out. I told my guys, I said, well, what we're going to do here is we're going to just walk around the courthouse. We're going to carry a Christian flag and an American flag, and we're just going to pray.
7 times.
And, yeah, we're going to do it 7 times. Of course, now, I was walking backwards the whole time, Dr. Simon, and so my calves hurt for about 3 or 4 days afterwards. You get a lot of exercise. But anyway, the point is, there was no trouble. I was walking backwards, filming the guys, which in turn really turned out to be a good thing because I could see what was behind them. So they could see it.
Behind you.
Well, they were supposed to warn me to keep me from backing over into something, but it didn't always work out that way. I didn't kill myself. But the point is, we done that. We ran into groups, 2 small groups, asked us what we were doing or whatever. And it was not there was one guy who will put up the raw video. We've got it. He kind of asked us a bunch of questions. He had his own thoughts he wanted to say. And I told him, I said, well, we'll include you as long as you give me your name. And so he gave me his name, and one of the others gave me his name. And the other one, the third one, didn't want to give his name at all. Maybe I'll cut him out of the screen. That one went okay. I don't mind discussions with people. That's part of America. Then the 4th time that we We're on our fourth lap, and I had huff and puff each time. Going all around those city blocks is a long ways, Dr. Simon.
Walking backwards.
Yeah, especially walking backwards. There must be something to that. On the fourth time, we had like 25 or 30, I don't know, I couldn't count them, but I saw a big mass of people headed our way. Well, one of our people's got cerebral palsy. He walks with a limp and everything. Both of those guys are actually karate trained, so they might have been able to do a little damage, but they're not 25 people surrounding you is not a very good situation. I, at one point, slipped back because I could see they were just trying to surround us and pin us basically against the truck. They were screaming obscenities and everything, trying to intimidate us and everything. So I kind of slipped back a little bit and I dialed 911 and don't think I recorded that because it probably went off the recording at that point when I dialed. It'd be great if I did have it. Never once saw a policeman. It doesn't take that long to hurt a person or to kill a person. And I know that they were within 2 or 3 blocks of us because that's where their police station is.
Never came.
They never came. When the crowd heard that I was calling them, they kind of backed off a little bit. We were able to separate. We did not leave like they insisted. I turned around, actually, and the 911 operator was on there still. And the other crane that we had.
Crane?
It was a crane. It was not a crane. It was actually a lift. I'll tell you about later.
Oh, to stand up high?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the point is, I made a point of saying it. Nothing better happened to it. We've got it insured. But we went down, we walked around the block, and I was just going to finish it up, whatever I was going to say, and we ran into other girls. And these girls said that they were from Nashville. They were white girls. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. And they were trying to explain to me how the American flag was so offensive.
They were offended by the American flag.
They were offended why that was offensive to them. I gave them free rein. I said, tell me, because I certainly don't see it that way, but I want to hear what they had to say.
But what did they say? What was offensive?
Now, I don't want to put too many words in their mouth because I don't have their exact quotes, but they lean basically on the fact that this country was built by slaves and all that kind of stuff.
Built by slaves?
And at the same time, one of them was
the product of American.
One of them was supposed to be a Christian. I said the Hebrews were slaves. You could tell that they had been basically brainwashed. It was really sad.
They have no idea of our history.
No.
They were a product of the public school system.
No doubt. So that was my encounter with them, and believe me, if I hadn't have called the police.
Thankful that our town's not anywhere near like what is going on with Seattle with Chaz or Chop, whatever they want to call it. The city now, it's gone down from 7 blocks that they're taking over to 3 now. They did push them back